rally mode. Welcome to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and joining me are my co-hosts, CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets, Lewitinn, and Managing Director of International Content, Emily Parker. Good morning. What a skyrocketing run for ETH.
Indeed it is.
Indeed it is.
This is quite the ETH day.
It's ETH day as well as Doge day. All right, yes. Trade blocks indexes are now the CoinDesk indexes. So checking in on Bitcoin, the CoinDesk Bitcoin price XBX index is currently trading at $56,000 and change. Bitcoin is slightly down over the past 24 hours. Just dipping about 4.4%. And the CoinDesk Ether price ETX index right now is trading at 34.81, biting at that all-time high of 34.88 reached earlier this morning. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data. So definitely our top story of the day, Lawrence, is ETH all-time high. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically like, new address, who dis? And that's what everyone's saying to Bitcoin right now. Of course, the big narrative is around Ether. Today we had a piece by Cargo Boli in CoinDesk talking about the action in the derivatives markets. You have ETH option volumes on 4 large options exchanges, $1.3 billion. And you compare that to Bitcoin's option volume, right? Yesterday, this was Monday, 879 million. So ETH volume was 50% higher than that of Bitcoin. It's amazing. But to be sure, option open interests on the 6 largest exchanges, Bitcoin, it's about 10 billion, but going down. ETH, 5 billion, rising. So, that's an indication of one thing. Also, take a look at the CME, though. CME, it's still the situation where Bitcoin futures, and we use CME as a gauge of how institutions are behaving. The Bitcoin futures volume is well outpacing Ether, to be sure. Ether futures, it's about 2x yesterday when it comes to volume. But the question is how long? CoinShares saw an outflow of $21 million in Bitcoin products over the past few weeks, but an inflow of $34 million into ETH products. So it's something to be aware of. So we'll see what happens.
Definitely, Lawrence. And Emily, Wall Street's taking note of the success of cryptocurrencies. They're also going to begin trading and opening their S&P crypto indexes, correct? And not to mention Doge is doing really well today.
Yes, 2 big pieces of news. So it's arguable whether ETH is really the story of the day because Doge keeps reaching new all-time highs, has broke 50 cents, is trading above 50 cents. There are various reasons for this. Part of the reason is just it's Dogecoin and who knows why, but also because eToro has announced support for the cryptocurrency, and that opens it up to some 20 million users worldwide. So that's clearly a big deal. Also, the Oakland A's have announced that they are allowing ticket purchases for Doge. So that's actually an example of Doge being used as a method of payment. So yeah, it just keeps going up and up and up.
Incredible. Yeah. Doge up 10% for the year.
10,000%.
10,000% for the year. Thank you, Lawrence. Thanks for correcting me.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
Let's
it's a
take
dream
a look.
come true for Doge holders.
Take a look at the crypto markets. All right, Ether's skyrocket.
The crypto markets update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager.
All right, Ether's skyrocketing surge is triggering whispers of a flippening that is a possible event in the future when Ether could surpass the value of Bitcoin. That is a long way from happening, but ETH is certainly eroding Bitcoin's dominance, which is now below 50% of the overall cryptocurrency market. ETH has about 15% of the total market and a market cap of over 400 billion. Joining us now to discuss the crypto markets and more is Marketgauge Managing Director Michele Schneider in New Mexico. Welcome, Michele.
Hi, good morning to you all.
Good morning to you. Okay, so would love to get your comments on ETH's, record rally happening right now.
Well, the good news is that we actually have been long ETHE, so we're very happy about that. Probably always, as anyone would say at this point, not enough of it, because I didn't anticipate that we would see Ethereum up this high. But the flippening, as you say, is real. The options interest is real. And there are some reasons for it. The blockchain technology involved with Ethereum, of course, is extremely attractive. And then the whole DeFi thing, which I love these acronyms that keep coming out with, for example, the DeFi, like DeFi, the decentralized finance, the whole idea of the younger generation not wanting to have any government intervention in the currency, number one, and the technology, number two, and just the whole suspicion of government manipulation. I think it's an interesting theme that is emerging out of, less than what would be traditional conspiracy theory. So, I think it's amazing. And unfortunately, Bitcoin, we had bought some coin, actually, that was the new release from a few weeks ago, at around 300, and it's dipping here along with the Bitcoin itself. But Bitcoin is at a very interesting technical spot. It's sitting really right on its 50-day moving average at around this 56,000 level. So we'll see what happens.
And Michele, the S&P Dow Jones crypto indices are going to be launched soon. How do you think that they will perform? They're going to have a Bitcoin as well as an Ether and a mega cap combo of the two.
Well, the hope, of course, is that what it does is it brings in more interest from different investors, and that the sorry about the dog, and that the legitimacy of it and bringing in the older generations to trade it, because now they feel that it is done through a normal stock market channel is probably going to be a positive, at least initially. So that's what we're kind of hoping for, and we're looking forward to it. The more instruments you have, the better. For the last several months, we've been trading Bitcoin up until Coin came out through Riot and MicroStrategy and PayPal. So it'll be good to have something more direct.
How have you been investing in ETH?
Through ETHE, which is the over-the-counter grayscale instrument that you can trade. It's not necessarily as, it's kind of like the way GBTC is related to Bitcoin. There's a bit of a distinction there, but for the people who do not want to be actually buying the coin itself or buying the Ethereum itself, it's actually worked out pretty well. It's trading up at around 33.50 coming into this morning.
So, good morning, Michele. How high do you think ETH can go? I don't know if you are comfortable giving that kind of price prediction, but I think that's the question everybody's asking. Like over the short term, how high can this keep going?
Well, the younger members of our team are saying 5,000, which doesn't seem that far away at this point. And then I was actually reading on your website this morning that there are some predictions of 10,000, which is probably why you might see this little bit of a parabolic move right here before some selling comes into it. I thought it was going to get to 2,500. So there you go. We're already so past that. So I would look at here. I like round numbers. So if we can hold and get through this 3,500 level, then obviously 5,000 is not off the table.
Michele, from the people you talk to, is there more talk about ETH compared to Bitcoin now? I know you have apparently a Doge fan in your office right now from that bark.
Yes, that's interesting that you would know that. Actually, it's funny you should say that, because yes, he used to trade just exclusively cryptocurrency, and Dogecoin is something he bought and is watching it go up and up and up in complete amazement. And we haven't been able to trade it for our clients because other than buying the Dogecoin, there's no real other way. Like what I mentioned before with ETHE or GBTC or Riot or MicroStrategy. Yeah, so Dogecoin, I actually heard you say earlier that who knows why it's going up, but it is. So there you go.
Do you think in terms of, you just mentioned MicroStrategy and some of the other companies that had Bitcoin on their books. Do you think now with Coinbase public that the incentive to buy those kind of companies has gone down, that the premium people were paying to go long crypto indirectly through companies' balance sheets have gone down if they have a more direct way of doing so, such as through buying Coinbase?
Well, it's actually an interesting question, and I don't know if I've necessarily thought about that relationship like that, because I was more in the camp of the more legitimacy, the more traditional way you can get into Bitcoin, the better it will be. But obviously, we're seeing the reverse. In terms of the whole crypto space, the market cap in Bitcoin has dipped below 50%, while Ethereum has gone up to almost 17%. So, yeah, I guess what's happening is exactly that, is that as things are going more into the traditional instruments, the actual Bitcoin itself is starting to flatten here. But I wouldn't get too negative on it at this point. The volatility has come in tremendously. And I think that's ultimately a good sign. So we're hoping to see some kind of support here at this 55, 56 level, and we'll see what happens from there.
Michele, recently there was a huge commotion in the crypto world because Charlie Munger, I don't know if you saw his comments, but he basically called Bitcoin disgusting. And yeah, you're familiar. I'm curious what you think. Is he just hopelessly out of touch? Was there any truth to what he was saying? I mean, he was sort of complaining that, this is created out of thin air. It's relatively new. I'm just curious what your take is on this.
Well, we actually had a whole discussion about that conversation yesterday in the office, and our summation of it was two old men howling at the moon. Yes, I believe that they are very out of touch. Obviously, the comments that he made about it leading to crime, et cetera, everything that he mentioned that Bitcoin could lead to, actually, we've already seen with traditional currency, particularly the dollar. So I thought that the comments were bizarre and strange, and I wouldn't really hold too much credit into what they're saying. I mean, they're 97 years old, and God bless them, they've done extremely well. But they've done extremely well in, believe it or not, really, in the 50s and 60s. That's when Buffett made his most money, was with the real growth of the United States. And in the last 10 years or so, they've actually underperformed the market. So, it was shocking to hear. But like I said, I think it was just two old men howling at the moon. I think that's the best way to describe it.
So you mentioned a lot of good reasons why ETH is surging, but part of it is also just sort of number two after Bitcoin, and people are just kind of looking for the next big thing. In addition to Doge, of course. What do you think could follow ETH? Is there another coin that's on your radar, sort of when ETH gets too expensive and then people are looking for the next big thing?
I guess if I had to go with anything, it would probably be Ripple at this point, which I know is still trying to work out the situation with the SEC. But I know it's been getting a lot of buzz just from what I see in terms of comments from the younger generation that are looking to trade. So Ripple is what we have our eye on right now. We haven't done anything with it, but we're sort of keeping an eye on what happens here in terms of playing nice with the SEC and whether or not that gives it a boost.
All right, Michele, thanks so much for joining us this morning and sharing your insights. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
That was Marketgauge Managing Director Michele Schneider. Coming up, checking in with Asia and a regulation and policy update with CoinDesk's Nick Day. Time now for the daily forecast, an update on what's happening in the Asia crypto markets. Here's Angie Lau of Forecast News.
Welcome to the Daily Forecast, May 4th, 2021. I'm Angie Lau. Let's get you up to speed from Asia to the world. One of South Korea's largest banks is launching an over-the-counter and custody service aimed at institutional investors called KODA, or Korea Digital Assets. The new service by Kookmin Bank is formed with blockchain tech firm Hachi Labs and investment group Hashed. Another major Korean bank, Shinhan Bank, is not far behind. They announced investments in digital asset custody consortium Korea Digital Asset Trust in January. Most South Korean crypto exchanges are expected to shut down rather than get exposed to harsher enforcement before the license registration deadline of September 24th. There's also another slight political hitch, though, for institutional investors. Head of Korea Society of FinTech Blockchain and Director of Cryptocurrency Research Center at Korea University, Professor Kim Hyung-jung, says that corporates are still very wary of the government's negative perspective right now on crypto.
이 암호화폐 산업에 대해서 굉장히 부정적이어가지고 그래서 은행들이 선뜻 이쪽에 뛰어들지를 못했습니다. 먼저 커스터디 사업을 한다고 해가지고 어떻게 보면 정부의 태도가 어떻게 나올지 한번 보겠다는 의미가 있다고 생각을 합니다.
A cryptocurrency founded by BitTorrent founder Graham Cohen that has miners drooling. Chia uses a proof of time and space consensus mechanism which allows miners to mine with unused hard drive space. In about a month and a half, Chia miners have already used up more than 1 exabyte of storage. That's over 1 billion gigabytes or more than 300 million HD movies. That's a lot of movies. Hong Kong-based hard drive manufacturer Galax issued a fresh warning to miners saying Chia mining will void the warranty for their SSD hard drives. Another manufacturer, Seagate Vietnam, observed bulk purchases of hard drives in Hanoi just to resell them in mainland China. All right, Bitcoin is down by 4.57%, now trading just below $56,000 as of 4 p.m. local Hong Kong time at the end of the Asia trading day. And in the top 10 of cryptocurrencies, Dogecoin returns to the top 5 after getting some treats from the eToro listing. And a quick look at the Asian equity markets, mixed today, Kospi, Hang Seng, and ASX 200 in the green. And finally this, the Digital Dollar Foundation and Accenture are ready to launch 5 tests for a U.S. central bank-backed digital currency within the next year. It is privately led and aims to encourage consideration of a CBDC by the Federal Reserve. Now here in Asia, China's PBOC-led initiative is ahead of the pack, but China, of course, has limited crypto trading in the country. And encouraging signs from Philippines, taking a unique perspective not on CBDCs, but crypto itself, but it recently expressed positive sentiments towards virtual assets to help its unbanked population. Now, the crypto and blockchain industry in Philippines is excited about what this could mean for their country and beyond. We spoke with Romel Santos, president of Smart Asset Management Digital Technologies, who says there's a lot of work to be done.
We still need, to make more research and advanced implementation of this technology. This is one of the best moves that the Bangko Sentral have actually ever made.
There's no clear roadmap yet, but Forecast News keeping an eye. The comments, though, is the latest sign of more open door policy by regulators in the Philippines towards crypto adoption. Encouraging signs indeed. And that's the daily forecast from our vantage point right here in Asia. For more, visit forecast.news. I'm Forecast Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. Until the next time.
Time to check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk's The State of Crypto newsletter. Good morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to have you. So we have news out that Coinbase is expanding support for the stablecoin Tether. Tether is the largest stablecoin by market cap, over $54 billion. What can you tell us about this listing?
Yeah, it looks like Coinbase, the retail app, has announced support for the Tether stablecoin trading. Customers can now buy, sell, convert, trade, or store USDT outside of New York. New York has its own licensing regime, so most coins can't get there immediately anyway. But basically, this comes a week and a half after Coinbase announced that its professional trading platform, Coinbase Pro, would also support Tether trading.
Nick, your newsletter is about something called Bitcoin fog. Can you tell us a little bit about your main takeaways about that whole incident?
Yeah, that was interesting. Basically, last week, the feds arrested the alleged operator of a Bitcoin mixing service that's been in operation for about 10 years. And they said that they, used a variety of methods to track him down, including blockchain analysis, as well as comparing records in various standard, databases that they had, including the user databases for Mt. Gox, BTCE, and Liberty Reserve. But a closer read of the affidavit supporting the arrest seems to suggest that the blockchain analysis was really only used to verify that Bitcoin Fog was a mixing service, and that if you sent a coin through it, you couldn't figure out where it came from, as well as to not to
use the word sting operation, basically to verify that it wasn't collecting KYC data. So in other words, the actual tracking down part of the case does seem to have really depended on databases that the U.S. government had access to, and that it's a little unclear, should they have, or just how long have they been looking at these databases for other platforms that law enforcement authorities have shut down years ago. So it's a little, there's a couple questions there.
So Nick, this, one of the big things in that whole Bitcoin fog story is the role of centralized exchanges. What does that tell us in terms of what kind of information is out there for authorities to use to catch people if they need to?
Yeah, I mean, if you're filing KYC or if you're signing up to a centralized exchange, assume your data will be there forever. And if that exchange somehow, for whatever reason gets shut down by the U.S. government, or, even if it's served like with a lawful subpoena by the U.S. government, that means that, your data is going through it. It's probably a similar problem to what you have if you're, trying to sign up for a credit card. You don't really know for sure just where the sharing of your data goes.
All right, great. Nick, thanks for the update.
Thank you.
That was CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Policy and Regulation, Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com. And coming up, not everyone is hot on ETH. We'll talk to one decentralized finance project that is abandoning the Ethereum network.
We are witnessing the greatest paradigm shift in finance in modern history. Join thousands of newsmakers and influencers talking the future of money at Consensus by CoinDesk. A live virtual experience of leaders, changemakers, virtual reality meetups, keynotes from Ray Dalio, Gary Vaynerchuk, and much more. Get an up-close look at the boom in crypto, the surge of institutional investment in Bitcoin, NFT mania, the breakneck innovation in decentralized finance, and the coming disruption from central bank digital currencies. Join us May 24th to May 27th for Consensus by CoinDesk.
All right, time for a quick markets check. Trade blocks indexes are now the CoinDesk indexes, so checking in on Bitcoin. Right now, the price XBX index is trading at just over $56,000. Bitcoin is down about 4.2% over the past 24 hours. And the CoinDesk Ether price ETX index is trading at 34.97, still on that mega tear that we're seeing all morning. ETH is up about 12% over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as a leader in crypto news, events, and data.
The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
Decentralized finance Oracle Umbrella Network, which acts as a bridge between smart contracts and off-chain data feeds, is migrating from Ethereum to relatively low-cost smart contract platform Binance Smart Chain. Umbrella Network saying BSC integration could reduce transaction costs by more than 90% compared to Ethereum. Joining us now to discuss is Sam Kim, founder of the Umbrella Network in Los Angeles. Welcome, Sam.
Good morning, Christine.
Before we get Great to have you. Before we get into the whole migration, first of all, maybe you could tell us what exactly does Umbrella Network do?
Yeah, Umbrella Network is an Oracle. Probably more for your audience is probably more familiar with our larger counterparts, Band and Chainlink, kind of the Gen 1 of the Oracles. What we do is take data that's off-chain, let's say data like weather or stock feeds or commodity price feeds, and we make that available for blockchain applications to use in their smart contracts.
Mm-hmm. And so why did you decide to move from the Ethereum blockchain to Binance Smart Chain?
Yeah, if you look today, I mean, today's a good example. I mean, we have Ethereum going up to almost $3,500. And it's almost a victim of its own success in that regard, in that as the price of Ethereum goes up, as the usage of the Ethereum network goes up, so do the cost of actually transacting on Ethereum. And so for an Oracle like us, it means that each time that we make data available on chain, the price increases. And our goal has always been to be the lowest cost provider. I mean, effectively, we want to bring the cost of data to as close to zero as possible. And it makes it challenging for us to achieve that on Ethereum. And second, it makes it more difficult for us to decentralize and achieve our second goal, which is to be a community-owned oracle, where we put the validator and the operations of the network into the hands of the individuals and community members. And so what you're seeing in the success of Ethereum and the price skyrocketing today, it ends up being more costly for operators such as ourselves. And therefore, we're making the decision to move to Binance Smart Chain, where we have much lower operating costs and we can focus on our goals. We do plan on continue to support Ethereum. It'll just be a little bit different than the way we're doing it today.
So is it correct to say that you think that as Ethereum's price continues to rise, these problems could actually just get more severe, or do you think that they will be resolved eventually?
I think that Ethereum's usage is not going to decline, right? I mean, I do believe it's going to continue to rise. The price of Ethereum, I'm still bullish on it. At the same time, network congestion is going to increase until ETH2 comes out. However, I believe that Binance Smart Chain offers a solution today that can survive well into the future. So we're making that move where we're going to move a lot of the computation and the consensus onto Binance Smart Chain, but still support Ethereum through cross-messaging via Smart Chain.
So, good morning, Sam. One of the things we're seeing right now, of course, is that there's a spike in addresses on the Binance Smart Chain. It's surpassed Ethereum, the amount of on Ethereum. But one of the criticisms and part of why it's considered to be a low-cost network is that it's considered to be far more centralized than Ethereum is. What do you make of that criticism that the Binance Smart Chain is too centralized?
I think that's a fair criticism of BSC, but it just means that what usage can you make on BSC that makes sense, right? And so, yes, there are 21 nodes operating on BSC, certainly more centralized than Ethereum and many of the other networks. But what can you do with these low costs that you get from having a slightly more centralized version of it? And so for us, that means what we can do is actually become more decentralized on BSC. And the reason we can do that is that we're a layer 2 side chain that runs on top of layer 1 chains. And so we have our own network of validators and operators. And so with BSC's lower cost, we can be more decentralized on our network. And so BSC is not necessarily the suitable option for all networks and all projects, but for us, it makes sense because we can actually become more decentralized on BSC than we can on Ethereum because of Ethereum's high cost. To kind of elaborate on that, today on Ethereum, only the largest, most professional and well-capitalized validators can afford those costs, whereas on BSC, we can open that up to our community of individuals and small and medium enterprises.
But the fact that there are so few nodes, does it make sense to even be on a blockchain at all? I mean, is there another solution that could be done, without the need for going on the Binance Smart Chain? And also along those lines, there were a couple of projects on the Binance Smart Chain that suffered hacks over the past few days. Doesn't this add to more concern as you move your project onto it?
I think those are growing pains that we've all experienced and every chain has experienced over the years. I mean, dating back to the start of Bitcoin and all the way through Ethereum. I mean, we go through growing pains, and fortunately, we have an industry that understands that and is willing to work through those growing pains together. And I think we're going to go through that with Binance Smart Chain. I do believe in a multi-chain world. And so I think we're going to see similar events in other chains, not just BSC. And BSC is further along in going through those growing pains than many of the other chains.
All right, Sam, thanks for joining us this morning. Good luck with the migration. I hope those fees stay low.
Thank you very much.
Right, that was Umbrella Network founder Sam Kim. Time now to check in with crypto Twitter with our tweet of the day. This one from Chao Wang, partner at DeFi Alliance, tweeting, "At this point, we have to acknowledge a non-zero probability of ETH flippening BTC around July due to a combination of relentless spot bidding, rotation from BTC to ETH, London fork narrative. I don't think the probability is high, but if it does happen, RIP Twitter. Twitter would indeed go crazy if that ever happened." Okay, that's it for First Mover. Coming up tomorrow is special guest Bitpanda co-founder and CEO Paul Klanczek. Thank you, Emily Parker, our CoinDesk Managing Director of International Content, and Lawrence Lewitinn, Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets. I'm your host, Christine Lee. I'll be back live at 3 p.m. with all about Bitcoin. Coming up at noon is The Hash. You're watching CoinDesk TV.